Have you ever heard of a limiting belief? It's a belief that we have within ourselves that actually limits our capacity to fully engage with life. And it could trigger us into strong emotion to steer us away from doing something, a protection, a survival coping mechanism within our subconscious mind. My name is Arnie Peterson from Awareness and Health. I'm a mindfulness-based hypnotherapist in Victoria, BC. I work online and in person helping people to move through anxiety, self-confidence issues, stress, fears, and phobias, and things like that. And today I want to talk a little bit about limiting beliefs and help you to recognize if you're having a limiting belief that's holding you back in life in some way. And I want to tell a little bit of a story. I remember I had social anxiety really bad, and just standing in the lineup at the bank was scary. Just being in any kind of groups of people, I would get panic attacks, and it limited my life in ways you just have no idea. I could hardly go outside sometimes. And I didn't realize this, but in the past I had a lot of experiences that happened that were very traumatizing in school. I seemed to attract a lot of negative things that happened to me. But I realized becoming a therapist that this was really a set of belief systems that I had about myself where I didn't feel I was good enough. I didn't feel worthy of people liking me, and I felt that I was a bad person. And I remember this particular experience where I had to give an oral report at school in class, and I had to stand up in the front of the class, and I didn't even know if I could get my mouth open. I was so scared. And I finally started to speak, and this other kid in the class said something like, "I can't believe he spoke." And that just triggered me into this huge embarrassment, and I just barely got through the oral report, and it was one of the scariest things that I ever felt within myself. And I just felt like everybody was laughing at me ever since then. And after that class and walking down the hallway and going back into that class, I just wanted to die and shrivel up and curl up in a ball and die. And my subconscious mind created this coping mechanism to help me not feel like that ever again. So what it did was it gave me social anxiety, panic attacks, high, huge emotion, this big charge of emotion to keep me away from groups where I didn't have to feel the embarrassment of that again, where I might have to speak in front of people. And it worked really well, but my world got smaller and smaller and smaller. And I didn't realize it, but I would have an opportunity to go spend time with friends in some group function, go do something, and I would be getting ready and they would come and get me, and I would just have a panic attack, and I would just change my mind and I would refuse to go. Or I'd go somewhere and I'd get triggered into anxiety and I would just get out of there as fast as I could. And that was no fun at all. It was a horrible experience because my whole life was controlled by my fears. But then I started, when I became a therapist and learning about this stuff more and more and working with people, I started to really understand limiting beliefs. And I started to go back and realize, look at these events that happened in my life, like that speaking in front of the class, where I had that experience where, wow, that created a belief in me that anything I had to say wasn't good enough. Clearly it wasn't good enough with what that kid said about me and laughed at me, and the whole class started laughing at me. And once I realized that, I could start to pull apart the roots of the causes of these limiting beliefs that held me back. And in the moment in the future, when I'd be presented with an opportunity to go out in public or something into a group situation, I could breathe through it, mentor myself, talk myself through it, and tell myself, this isn't really now. These feelings are nothing to do with that. This was long ago. This feeling that's triggering up, and I could breathe into it. I could guide myself in the situation, look around and assess. There's nobody here that's going to laugh at me. It's actually really safe to be here right now. I know these people, they're good people. And even in family situations, it would happen at times. And so I could move through the situation. I learned to be with the feelings that it triggered up inside of me, telling myself it was safe, proving it by looking around, and I could get through it. I could start to do these things again. And it really helped me actually to become a much better therapist, where I was able to understand these things from a first-hand experience and help people to then move through them. But this is a very powerful tool to first recognize, is this something I felt before, and to start going back in time and go, how long ago did this kind of thing happen? And where you might be able to figure out on your own a particular event that happened that started this limiting belief that now manifests itself every time you're in a certain situation. So take a look at that. It's incredibly empowering when we start to notice and realize, and see things truly as they are. Then these limiting beliefs, we start to pull the plug on them, pull the roots right out, and we start to be able to empower ourselves with confidence once again. So I hope this is helpful and insightful for you. Let me know. And I hope it works good for you, that you give it a go and start looking into these things, because they make such a big difference and start giving our freedom back. So my name is Arnie Peterson from Awareness and Health, and I hope you have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day.